What does happen often is that you get the scene looking great, and then you'll run down the scene, and maybe you need to move everything right as a ripple. So in Basslight in particular, there's this dark blue square thing, this DBS thing. So typically it's parked with your playhead, but you can decouple that and say, move it to select a range of shots and select those. And this is how you would ripple a correction, right? Select a range of shots between your playhead and that DBS. I'm going to offset all here, and now you have this sort of flashing thing. And you can do those ripples on a separate layer. And say we want to add a little saturation and come up a little bit on our exposure. And that's it. Now that color correction is affected through that sequence. Because I work on TV and feature films, sometimes schedules don't always work out elegantly. So I have another colorist that works with me as a pre-grader. So I'll set looks, and he can fill in the blanks and follow those looks through the scenes. Have an assist that kind of makes sure that the room's set up and renders are done. And there's also several conform people that will conform the shows based on the needs of the show, and do VFX updates and whatnot. So it definitely takes a village, especially when you're doing any one week. I might be working on a feature and 2 different television shows. So you're bouncing between all these genres very sometimes within one day. You know, it's also not necessarily sequential. We can say just the shots of the actress, right? Just those 3 shots. It went a little too far on her. So same thing, we select just these 3 shots, turn offset all again, and say instead of going 60%, let's go whatever, 30%. Turn that back off again. Go back to our first shot. And now it's just whatever shots we've selected. So, you know, it's another way to do ripples, but it can be very, very powerful in that you can selectively choose which shots you want to offset. It's something I use quite a lot, actually, because once you get a scene balanced, everyone's very happy with that. And it happens quite often where it's, you know, a situation where everything looks great, but when you're doing final playback with sound, you realize you're cutting from a, you know, I don't know, bright day exterior scene to a dark night interior scene, and maybe seeing the scene, we go a little too dark. We don't give the viewers enough time to sort of, you know, adjust their eyes to the dark scene, so we want to lift everything up a little bit. Happens very often. It's a very quick way to do. You know, if you have to get through a large number of shots in a short period of time, I'll do some quick math. You know, I'll figure out how many cuts I need to get through and how much amount of time, and that'll give me a rough budget. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but that at least gives me some baseline of an expectation for myself about how fast to get through.